Another lackluster Apple event in the books, and I really don't know what you expect at this point from the people in Cupertino. The way they dominate their section of the marketplace around the world, you're not going to get huge swings in either design or features year over year. It's just not going to happen because they know that for the most part, the competition that iPhone users are looking at are other iPhones. They're competing against themselves. You're not going to have a situation where an iPhone user who's deep into that ecosystem for the last 16 years is looking like, what does Pixel offer me? What is a Samsung offering me? They know that people are going to be comparing the new device up against their old device and see and kind of gauge if that's where they want to upgrade. And they know it's going to be based off of a lot of different things. Where they are in their payment cycle with their carrier. Is their 2 or 3 year deal up? That's who they're focused on. They're not focused on the enthusiast who's sitting there going over every single spec of the Galaxy S23 Ultra versus the iPhone 15 versus the Pixel 7 Pro. They know people aren't doing that. Most of the people that they're targeting are not going to do that. So that's who they kind of target these presentations and these phones towards. So let's talk about the iPhone 15. All right, people are going to jump up and down. You're going to scream about the 60 hertz. You're going to scream about the price. You're going to scream about last year's A16 Bionic. Now in that device, it's an OLED. It's a fancy colors, and it's a way into the Apple ecosystem. And it's going to be $30 a month through your carrier. That's what 99% of the people buying that phone are concerned about. Because we can jump up and down, and I can admit, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. If you're looking at things just in terms of the broad marketplace, the entire world of mobile technology, the Apple iPhone 15, as it's configured, isn't worth it for X amount of dollars that they're charging. However, it'll still be the first or second best-selling phone in the world because that really doesn't matter. And Apple gets that kind of blanket do-over. They get that invisibility that other manufacturers don't. Because of that we talked about earlier about how they're really only competing against themselves. They're not competing against other people in the marketplace. And that has its benefits. And Apple has spent years doing that with iOS, with their advertising campaigns, with the little things that they add in that for enthusiasts don't really matter, but for average consumers, they look at that and say, oh, that's pretty neat. That's cool. With the commercials, the cachet, the status symbol that an iPhone is. All of that goes into the price. All of that goes into what they actually offer. And all of that has to be weighed when you compare this to other devices. Now, for that money, they do give you a phone that's well supported, that's got a beautiful display, a bright display, Google, and that's pretty well made from premium materials. So you could do a heck of a lot worse for that money. But let's look at the actual lineup that they have now and the pricing that they've given us down the line. We're going to start with the SE. Would have loved to have seen a price cut on the SE. I would love to get that device into the 300 range. I understand that's kind of the entry device. That's the lowest one they have. It is what it is. You got to pay to play, as Flossie would say, on the Apple side of the ball. And they're going to maintain that pricing. But a year old now, over a year old, I would love to have seen that device dip into the 300s to really kind of give an even more attractive price point. Now, it's still a really good phone, but just know that that's something that's going to be on the pricier side. $599 for the iPhone 13. iPhone 14 starting at $699. That's probably your sweet spot right now, if I have to be honest. iPhone 15, you're going to go $799 and then $999 for the iPhone 15 Pro starting. That's not a price increase. Bunch of people are saying there were going to be an increase in price. Bunch of people are saying inflation. Bunch of people giving excuses why other manufacturers might be raising prices that we shall not name because we named it about 30 seconds ago. Why they're raising prices. Apple relatively kept it the same. A little bit of smoke and mirrors there if you want to say on the Pro Max because it's $1199. The other one, the base one last year started at $1099, but they're bringing the storage up. So it's like they basically just eliminated a model. They didn't give you that kind of entry option at $1099 with 128 gigs. They gave you a proper 256, but they're charging you. So Apple doesn't really get a gold star there. That's kind of the situation. Is the iPhone 15 Pro Max better? Yes. Is it worth upgrading from a 14? Is it worth upgrading from a 13? No. But that's the same every year. That's what you're going to get. That is part of life in the Apple ecosystem. You're going to look out if you are somebody who has a 13 and you're loving life with that battery that's absolutely phenomenal, and you've got a 14 and you're enjoying, you're always on display and a couple of the other things that you got, that's fine. but you're really not going to see a reason to go ahead and trade in these devices, especially if they're paid off, to upgrade and run out and get a 15. Every year they add a couple things that are nice. The 5X optical is probably going to be nice. I said this on the 7 Pro. It's something that you'd like to have. The Pixel 7 Pro, that is. It's something that you'd like to have. It helps the photos. It takes a clean image. It makes things just a little bit better on that system. So if you can get it, I would like it. But understand that it's not something that you're going to run out and throw your 14 Pro away for, or your 13 Pro. It's just not. Same thing with the gaming. You got the A17, you got all that nice stuff. You got the ray tracing now. There was a big thing they're passing around. Mobile gaming is becoming a big thing. You're going to have Resident Evil games on there and all the rest. That's kind of the reason why, to be perfectly honest, this is the first year I'm going to a Pro Max. I'm going to try the larger display. I want to do some more gaming on the iPhone. They're going to give us a chip for it. They're going to give us the capabilities. It will be cool to try out. So that's something that you're going to look into. But again, is that a reason why that you're getting rid of a perfectly fine, well-working 14 or 13? Absolutely not. Same thing with the new titanium finish. It's very nice. They had a Forrest Gump tie-in there they could have done, but they didn't. Drop the ball on that. But you got the titanium finish and the brush this and all the way the sandblasted this. That's fine. I would have liked to have seen some different colors. I understand maybe with the finish they couldn't do that. They got the ceramic shielding. They got all the other buzzwords that Apple throws in there. They avoid saying AI. They don't say AI. They avoid that like the plague. But a lot of that is in the new A17 chip. A lot of that's going to be in what's in iOS 17, predictive text, other things that we saw in the preview of iOS 17 over the summer. So that's all stuff that you have to look for. But at the end of the day, it's always what you expect from Apple. Good for them for not really upping prices that much. Good for them for, I don't know, existing. There really isn't a lot to get excited about year over year there. I would have loved to have seen an Ultra. Wouldn't have paid that money, but it would have been interesting to see what they would offer on a $1,400 phone that was rumored. They kept it to the Pro Max. That's fine. Simplify the product line if you want to do that. Bottom line, iPhone 15 is going to be the best-selling phone in the world. It's going to annoy people. Enthusiasts are going to bang the table and hit their head against the table and all the rest of it. And you can yell and scream about the 60 hertz and the money and the whatever. And you're getting the USB-C stuff this year, which we'll talk about in a moment. But that's just the way it is. That's Apple. That's what they've built up over 16 years. You're going to have to live with it. Let's talk about the USB-C. Big change between the two. Again, not something you'd upgrade, though. Is it nice if you're a content creator? You want to move files back and forth. It's going to be faster. Yes. Charging, however, I didn't really see a lot about a faster charging there that the USB-C is capable of. So, if you're worried about slow charging on iPhone, I don't really think the iPhone 15 Pro is going to fix that for you. So, look at that way. Like I said, if you're a content creator, you want to move big files back and forth, that's something you can take a look at. But other than that, I really don't see a lot of, other than charging ease of use, where you can charge it off your MacBook and stuff like that, with the two ports they actually give you. I don't see that as a huge reason why you'd upgrade, even though it is nice to not have those frayed cables going forward. So, stuff to like, stuff that, yes, Apple always does a nice job with it and refines it. They gotta get lock it in this year, though. iOS 16, I didn't like. I didn't like the pair of the iPhone 14 and iOS 16, whatever. It just didn't mesh. The optimizations weren't there. The battery life wasn't there that they had on the iOS 15 and the iPhone 13 Pro. So that's something they need to figure out. So, kind of that, invisibility that they have is starting to wear off. You don't get to put out two stinkers of an OS 2 years in a row. Then you start, all this goodwill that you've built up over the past 16 years starts to erode. So iOS 17 has to be good. The iPhone 15 has to be good. But for $1,000, if you think about all it could do, the premium build quality, the display, the brightness, it's not a terrible deal when you look around. So I know we like to complain about Apple and say it's overpriced, but these A17s, these chips, sometimes they can run circles around what we get on the Android side. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that delicious day.